Hi, welcome to Golf Training Hacks. I thought I would talk today about eccentric, isometric, and concentric contractions, or strength, because you've seen in other videos we've talked about those types of contractions or that type of strength a lot. And it's very important because in sports movement you have all three types of contractions and you need all three types of strength. So let's take a running back, for example, when they're changing direction in a cut. As soon as the plant leg hits the ground, there's an eccentric contraction that begins to stop the movement. Now that's an elongation and a contraction of the muscles in the leg. The movement is finally stopped with an isometric contraction. That's an instantaneous isometric contraction because immediately following that is the change of direction where you have a concentric contraction, and that's the push off and the change of direction. So when the running back is running, the plant leg, as it begins to stop the movement, is going into an eccentric contraction, and that requires eccentric strength. At some point, that movement is stopped. That's the isometric contraction. So it's eccentric, the movement is stopped, that's an isometric contraction, and the push off and the change in direction is the concentric contraction. So it happens in changes of direction. If that isometric contraction isn't strong, the movement becomes less rapid. And that's why that has to be trained. If this cut movement, if that plant leg is very weak and that leg continues to travel that way instead of stopping hard and being able to turn, the transition will be slower and the cut will be slower. So clearly that's a fast cut, and if that happens and this leg travels and then it has to stop and cut, that's going to be a weaker, or rather a slower transition. Now, we have eccentric, concentric, and isometric contractions in change of direction in the golf swing as well. And it happens at the top of your backswing. So as you go into the top of your backswing, there's a change of direction. You can have an eccentric stretch, isometric contraction to stop the movement, and then a concentric contraction to start the downswing. The stronger your isometric contraction, well, there's two things. First, it's going to make the change of direction much more effective. The isometric contraction is actually going to keep your spine in a better position because that isometric contraction, the muscles around the spine will isometrically contract and keep that spine in a good position. So eccentric, isometric, and concentric contractions are important in the golf swing, just like they would be for a running back. You have a change of direction. If you want it to be more effective, you need a very good and solid isometric contraction. So you need to have eccentric, isometric, and concentric strength in the golf swing in a variety of places, one being the top of your backswing, but you also need it in your hips because as you come through your downswing and into impact, there's rotational forces that need to be controlled because you're decelerating, and that's going to require eccentric, concentric, and isometric strength as well. So I hope that's helpful, and thanks for watching.